Woohoo!
Okay. So, I was serving breakfast the other day. I'm a server, and I busted into a conversation about bridges. Two women explained they were arguing over the mechanics of structure. But I knew, and so I told them. I had engineering, I had physics, I had evidence. I knew how professionals poured foundations over water for bridges. I told them. Then I took their order. They stared at me slack-jawed, then they looked at each other, then they asked me how airplanes take off. I told them that they should get the corn cakes, and then I went into the kitchen. And I moved my eyelids with purpose over my soul. I don't know how airplanes take off. That's still magic to me, like sounds of the darkness at the edge of the wood in medieval Devonshire. I also deposited $1,100 today, and 5.5 hours later, I have $3 in my account, and I still have outstanding bills accruing penalties. Because I live in America, and I do that. She talked to me about escaping, or emigrating, finding an expatriate status, sort of working it out, right? I'm so obsessed with the fucking grapefruit. So maybe I'm at a place called Mystic Celt on Southport in Chicago. I've got my hacker short, I'm waiting on my sweet waitress with a sweet Irish dialect so I can order the fish and chips, because that's what I want. I have a nice calm going today, and I'm trying not to be suspicious of it, and I feel really good about the choice of beer. But I called Elise this morning, and reconnection with people who spin out of control in my mind is always really useful. Her sweet nose sounded a little bit stuffed up. I was able to confirm that she sometimes eats half grapefruits with a spoon, even if she wasn't sure she'd actually done it in my presence. Abruptly, after about 15 minutes or so, she realized it was 10 o'clock. She needed to go or she was late for school French class. She's taking French. She was late. The grapefruit thing was really important to me, and I'm glad that she's the kind of girl who just rolls with it. Like, she doesn't ask questions, she just answers my questions without asking me questions. This morning I was eating half a grapefruit, a spoon, knowing the way one must eat it, almost like a soup. Which makes it a bit of a delicate endeavor, you know, that I felt elderly, you know, like a... You'd think a grapefruit would be something you could just toss in your mouth and chew, so that's how you attack it, clumsily, without thought. But somewhere between the bowl and your mouth, it becomes obvious that the juice will spill if you don't do something. Your jerking hand steadies tiny emergency response. Then it moves slowly toward your mouth like a mini ladle of soup. But the delicate touch it takes to handle soup is one of grace, an inherent grace that knows to present itself when faced with soup. The grace that overtakes the arm, the hand, the fingers, before the spoon even dips into the bowl. The attempt to capture that grace in motion after beginning a movement as though one were tossing an orange slice into her mouth. In that moment in between, one becomes like an invalid in the midst of a great effort. Oh, my food's here. Fish and chips. So then I met with Ina and we went to the grind. So I'm in the grind, it's a coffee shop on Lincoln. Why am I still thinking about the fucking grapefruit? Well, I am obsessed. I'm obsessed with the grapefruit. Elderly. I'm thinking of my great-grandpa Bickle with his shaky hand, all skin, delicately balancing that spoon, bringing it into his mouth, his lips and tongue anticipating arrival, docking, quivering as they reach for the slowly moving, precariously balanced piece of citrus floating in juice, possibly with a seed riding along, a stowaway. And his concentration and my child's concentration watching him, amazed, wondering if I should help. His determination unwavering, and his return to calm, simple enjoyment of his breakfast once the feat has occurred and the fruit is in his mouth, being gummed to bits and strings of fruit flesh by his toothless mouth. The next challenge being spitting out the seed without losing any grapefruit and swallowing the fruit without choking on the seed, and there it is. The seed. There it is, the seed, placed by his very articulate lips onto the spoon and then maybe onto the saucer next to the grapefruit in the bowl. The grapefruit sugar on the table before me. In this place, at the corner of the kitchen table in my grandparents' mobile home, in my backyard, I watch my grandfather place the puzzle that is eating his breakfast into his memory. And with my super peripheral vision, my only and greatest superpower, the back of Grandma's housecoat standing before the stove, I see it, her cane leaning against the counter next to her. Now I'm back with Elise in my mind. Elise, remember Elise? She called me. She speaks French. She's learning French. She speaks it. She's learning it. I'm sitting on the floor in her living room, and she's across from and above me. I watch her from a child's angle. I watch her from across the table as she tries to quicken the necessarily calm rhythm that it takes to eat a grapefruit. I picture her old, and I'm excited, then frightened by the thought that I like her old, that I may want her anyway, even old. Then, this same exciting thought, this same beautiful feeling drops my heart into sadness. This thought, this feeling that may have changed our lives, that has led many to proposals